Hello, everybody. We're going to dive right in just a moment. I'll give people a moment to join live. Excellent. Come on in. Hello. Say hi in the chat. I'd love to see you in the chat. Let me know who you are and your role in your organization. That would be great. I will make sure my phone is on silent. All right. Let's get going. Hello, nonprofit leaders out there and everyone tuning in. Today, I want to talk about why you shouldn't be letting one person carry all the load. So maybe that's you. Maybe you are a nonprofit or even a for-profit mission-oriented business who is overly dependent on a single leader. Maybe that means you only have one person in a leadership position, or maybe that means you just don't have enough leaders and there's one, often the executive director / CEO, especially if they've been a founder, who are really carrying the load. Well, give me a few minutes, and today we're going to talk about how to change that situation and build a stronger, more resilient nonprofit. First of all, I want you, because so often we end up in this situation because we're like, I just got to do more. I just got to do more. It's going to make it better for my nonprofit if I do more. What most people are not thinking as they get into that situation is, wow, I'm setting my nonprofit up for a lot of risk. So this is probably one of the number one reasons why it's important not to have one leader carrying too much weight for the organization, right? Because it actually becomes risky for the organization's future. Eventually, that leader might experience burnout and need to leave suddenly or become much less effective. If anything were to happen to that leader, it could cause the collapse of the whole organization. Plus, the other big risk is when we have a leader who has a overfull or even a full plate, and we're getting puppy visits, then what happens is that leader doesn't have time to onboard new staff and new leaders. And so actually what happens is we stagnate that organization's growth. We eliminate their ability to grow. All right, so how do we get out of being stuck and come back into flow with not having an overloaded plate? So here's how we do it. Sorry, I'm getting a child interruption here. Sweetie Pie, I am live on the internet and I'll be done, yes, in 5 minutes. Me crazy, so okay. Stop. Okay, where were we? All right, so the dangers of having one leader in place. Next up is to think about how do we distribute responsibilities and how do we actually expand the overall leadership capacity in our organization. And that's exactly what we need to do. So I like to teach my clients, I've created this nonprofit leadership blueprint, and I teach it in some of my free trainings as well, that maps out the key roles that every organization needs to attend to in order to fully expand, grow, thrive. So what do we do to, first we'll talk about two scenarios. What do you do if you're growing and you're not in trouble yet? And what do we do if you have a leader who's already has an overloaded plate? So if you're growing and you're just worried about this, you want to avoid this problem in the future, you need to map out what are the key roles that need to be covered. You need to basically track, at least roughly track, the each person's time that they're working. And this can even be, it doesn't have to be tracking every hour. You can just assess every few weeks or every couple of months, kind of what workload are you at? Are you at 50% of your workload focused on projects and recurring activities? Are you at 80%? Are you at 100%? Are you at 110%? Right? So basically, you want to watch that is when your capacity of things that you need to do hits around 80%, that's the time to be thinking about hiring. I have a whole training on how to do that, so I'm not going to get into that today, but I'll pop the link for you if you're interested in that map of how we do that, and then exactly how to think about what type of hire you're going to make. So let's say you are already have an overloaded plate. Well, I'm going to ask you to do the hardest thing for any executive director or CEO to possibly do, which is actually pull back on some of the things you're doing and reallocate your resources so that you can make the space for another hire. And often it's not just going to be, it could be an assistant, or it might be time for a leadership hire. Now, if you're like, oh my God, we're strapped and we don't know what to do, I want you to think about like a fractional leadership position. If you're not big enough, you don't have the budget enough to actually bring in a full-time team member yourself. You can be too cheap. You can hire someone who won't really do the job, and you can actually make the problem worse by hiring someone who isn't really experienced or qualified or capable into a leadership role that you need filled. And an experienced leader is going to be able to do it in a fraction of the time as a fractional executive of some sort. Okay, now the last point I want to make is what happens on the other side of this journey? What happens when you have the team that you need? Well, we have this synergistic effect. So with more team, more leaders, we have more distributed decision making, which means when each person is carrying a lighter load of the decisions, we end up making better decisions. When we make better decisions, we make progress faster. The faster we make progress, the sooner we get data about what's working and what's not working. The sooner we get data, the sooner we can take that data and refine what we're doing so that it works even better. And the cycle repeats itself. We have a great team. Everything starts working. We start getting more money. Then we add even more great team members. Then we're able to do stuff even more quickly. We learn faster, we iterate faster, and everything just gets better and better. That's all I have for you today. If you'd like tips like this in your email inbox and you're not already subscribed to the Inspired Nonprofit Leadership newsletter, you can access that at inspirednonprofitleadership.com/sign up. You can also check out other podcast episodes there of the Inspired Nonprofit Leadership podcast at inspirednonprofitleadership.com/podcast. And if you're thinking, oh my God, I'd love to actually work through this one-on-one live with Sarah, that's what I do with my clients in the Thrive program and in one-on-one engagements. And you can learn more. We can have a conversation about working together. And that all starts by going to pivotground.com/application. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, and then you'll be able to schedule a call where we can see about how I can help you and if we're a great fit for working together. Until next time, all the best.